Skylar Diggins-Smith, Nneka Ogwumike both have decided to go to Seattle. Obviously, I have Jewell Loyd. Again, we talk about, so I want to kind of rehash this conversation here because we talk about super teams heading into the finals. A'ja Wilson tweeted flat out. She said, I don't like how no one's talking about Seattle being a super team. Would you classify this as a super team? Does this fit up there with all the other?
I don't think so because Nneka's not in her prime. Nneka's still really good. She averaged 19 and 8 last year. She's still really good. But I don't think she's in her prime. I think Skylar Diggins and Jewell Loyd pretty much kind of in their prime at the height of their powers. Definitely Jewell Loyd. She just led the league in scoring, but even though her team was finished last in scoring, another team that needed an offensive boost. Yeah, I mean, the Notre Dame reunion, Skylar and Jewell, that's awesome, right? That's a dope storyline. To go to Seattle because of Skylar. She was between New York and Seattle, so she went there saying that she wanted to specifically play with Skylar as she, kind of made her way back into the league as she deserves to be. So Seattle is going to be really interesting. So because there's chemistry, again, the Jewell and Skylar background, Notre Dame chemistry. Nneka wants to be there to specifically play with Skylar. You also have to look at the players that they're adding to. I talked about this when the Liberty made their additions last year. It wasn't just who they added in Jonquel Jones and Courtney Vandersloot and Breanna Stewart. It's who they had already that they were adding to the mix. Absolutely. Jordan Horston is going to be a great positional wing piece amongst their dynamic offensive backcourt that they have now. Really great two-way backcourt, but especially offensively in Jewell and Skylar. Jordan Horston, I think things are going to be made a lot easier on her. She'll probably have to figure out how to fit into that role, but I think she can because she can do a lot of things. They also have Ezzy McNever. Ezzy, she's got next to Nneka. Ezzy next to Nneka. Mm-hmm. That's gonna be problems. So it kind of reminds me of Phoenix, where Nneka's a little older, Ezzy's a little younger. Ezzy can do kind of the things that Nneka may not be able to or feel like doing because she's a little older, but they're both really elite at some of the same things. They're going to be a handful on the boards for people. And again, like I said, it reminds me of Phoenix with Diana. The players they're bringing in kind of supplant the things that she just may be a little too old to do right now. Kalia's way more athletic. Natasha is she has a little more bounce to her right now, right? A little more to her step, little more, right. More of a threat defensively, right? So I think it's all about making up for kind of those older stars that you have. But man, you look at the completeness of Seattle's roster with what they're adding in Nneka and Skylar. Again, another team where it brings them right into title contender, bro, right away.
And I would say, too, on that same notion of Ezzy and Nneka also reminds me a little bit of A'ja and Kia Stokes, right? A'ja Wilson gives a lot of credit to Kia Stokes last season because A'ja Wilson says, without Kia Stokes, she wouldn't have a Defensive Player of the Year. And that's 100% true, right? A'ja Wilson is obviously at this point in her career still in her prime. And if at the height of her prime, a lot more lethal offensively and a lot more lethal defensively than Nneka is at this point. But Ezzy's better offensively than Kia is and just as good, if not slightly better defensively. So, to your point, it's going to be a handful. Ezzy Magloire is going to be, I think, the X factor and the biggest key to the ceiling for the Storm this season because she played the best ball of her career last year. And coming into this season, obviously you're talking about, okay, Ezzy's going to take that next step. Before all these moves, talking about, okay, Ezzy's the second best player on this team. Is she going to be able to capitalize? Now she doesn't have to worry about that because now you have Nneka down low in the post with you. You have Skylar Diggins-Smith in the backcourt. You can still kind of be that sneaky player that you were, still crashing those boards, still being a threat defensively, still being a threat offensively. Ezzy's going to be an all-star again this year. Ezzy's going to be a very key, very vital piece. The Storm, she's not the best player on the team, obviously. But the Storm are going to go as far as Ezzy Magloire will take them because she's going to cause a lot of problems, I think, this season. And she's going to when you have Skylar Diggins-Smith and you have Jewell Loyd and you have Nneka Ogwumike on a roster, there are a lot of teams that might just forget about Ezzy Magloire. And if that happens, that's going to cause a lot of problems. So I'm expecting a big year from Ezzy, an even better year this year than she had last year. Another all-star caliber season this year for Ezzy Magloire's in store because she's going to benefit immensely. We talked about gravity earlier. Nneka has gravity. Skylar has gravity. We know that Jewell has gravity. Ezzy is just going to be down there, just sitting there, biding her time, picking her spots, and she's going to capitalize on those opportunities that she does get from game to game. I love this for Ezzy Magloire, especially.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge for her. She's definitely gonna shine. More people are gonna learn about her too. Is Super Team classified as 3 stars or 4? Love the show. Keep it up. Much love, Kenneth. Much love to for you tapping in and for the comment, man.
Sure.
I for me, Super Team classified as 3 stars in their prime. That's why I'm like, Nneka's not really in her prime. So I don't look at it right away like they're a super team. I just don't.
No,
I mean, the hype of it, we all love and respect Nneka. She still clearly can play elite basketball. She's a winner. She's a former MVP. It's just for me, like when I think super team, like when LeBron and Bosh went to Miami, it's like, wow, big 3, like super. Yeah. That's a super team, 3 stars in their prime, right? That's just where I go with it, and there's no, we've talked about this a lot here on the show too, like, especially last year, talking about Vegas and New York. Super team doesn't have to be a bad or derogatory term,
No,
it's just, and if anything, it's a term of respect to say, we think you have multiple, you have multiple elite top level players on your team. So yeah, we're calling you a super team. But yeah, they like just scratch the surface. Like they have an elite backcourt. They may have the best backcourt in the league now, right? Like that backcourt is crazy. Like that's an elite backcourt that they have. Elite front court, even, Nneka and Ezzy, like as you put beautifully, like Ezzy and Nneka are gonna do damage together. I really look at the completeness of that roster. I don't see any one player having to take them anywhere or one person, like Ezzy's gonna shine in moments, Nneka's gonna shine in moments, Skylar's gonna take over games, Jewell's gonna take over games, Jordan Horston's gonna be roaming around making athletic plays, doing things like,
and they did
put that thing together.
Part of that as a trade as well.
Yeah, Nurse, they got oh my god, listen to all these options and weapons that they have now on their roster. My god, Seattle, oh my lord, Seattle, they may lead the league in scoring, bro.
No, I'm not even in the same scoring. No, they will lead the league in scoring. You have Jewell Loyd, who was the scoring
Candace
leader.
Parker, who you seem to fail to bring up whenever you talk about your beloved aces. Candace Parker is the key. You talk about Elena Deladon. She ain't going to Vegas if Candace Parker comes. Everything revolves around Candace Parker. What's wrong with you?
Listen, I try not to talk about Candace Parker. Not out of a sign of disrespect. Well, because I like
taboo.
No, it's not taboo. I just like the idea of like everyone only talking about Chelsea Gray and Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young and Asia, so that when Candace Parker decides to come back and that foot's healthy, then we can really start, making things shake and get. I just like the idea of keeping Candace out of the mix for now. I know she's coming back. I know we're gonna be great. We're gonna 3P. I don't care what any of this stuff. Look, my ace is biased. I don't care about none of this stuff. We're 3P. I don't care what anybody says. But look, that's great.
This is news to me. So you're breaking news to me. I didn't even know you're saying when. You just might just be being a cocky, confident fan. But you're
very cocky, very confident fan right now.
Yeah, bro. It's what we do here. We talk speculation, hypothetical, what's gonna happen, what's not. You got it to Candace Parker.
What I will say though is here. What I will say though is too
why they led the league in scoring. They had Candace out there running amok. They couldn't score 110 every game.
You have the scoring leader from last year, who not just led the league in scoring, she averaged the most points ever in a single season and scored the most points ever. And then also you have Skylar Diggins-Smith, who this isn't just any Skylar Diggins-Smith. She's out to prove a point.
That's true.
Like she's back with a vengeance. This is a pissed off Skylar Diggins-Smith, and she already plays like a chicken with her head cut off in the most respectful way possible. But like she's out here to prove a point, and she's out here to make a statement. Like she's not coming. Like then you have Nneka, of course, and you have Ezzy. This team is going to and you know who I love this for, especially outside of Ezzy. I love this for Noah Quinn. Because Noah Quinn is one of my favorite coaches in the league. I think that she is if you're ranking coaches in the league, there's not many names you say before you say Noah Quinn. And she has a lot of weapons at her disposal now to really get creative, to really exploit the 2-man game that we saw with her when they still had Sue and Brianna and the crew there. So there's a lot of things to love about the Seattle Storm this season. There's a lot of things to love about women's basketball in general.